And we're back with episode 7 of this Proverb series. We'll be looking at Proverbs 10, verse 12 this time. And this might be a shorter one. It's definitely a short verse, and it's definitely very straightforward. But again, usually these ones that seem straightforward on the surface are usually the ones that are the deepest, and we can just scratch the surface here with this one, but I wanted to give it some attention because certainly couldn't skip over it. It's one of the more memorable verses, especially in Proverbs chapter 10. So I'll begin reading, and the passage I'm reading is from the ESV, and it's also the same, of course, as the picture you see above. Hatred stirs up strife, but love covers all offenses. Now, you probably noticed by now that in a lot of these proverbs we read, there are usually usually opposites in the same verse, or if it's a set of two verses, you might have opposites in both verses, where they're worded a little different way to kind of contrast. Here we have hatred versus love, and something that you can notice about the marks of each of them. Of course, the way of wisdom is the way of peace and not the way of strife. So again, this seems obvious, but it's not. Again, it's not always easy to do, because especially if you're the one who's offended, who has been offended, forgiving and letting go, especially when it comes time to do that. Now, I'm not saying let people walk all over you or anything like that. All of these verses we look at have to be seen in the right context, and each of them are one piece of a very big picture. It's not always easy to forgive and to let go, and even people who are wise for the most part, can find themselves in a situation where they might have a difficult time forgiving somebody for something. And then, of course, it goes the other way, doesn't it? Being forgiven, if we're the one who has offended somebody in some way, especially if it's something that's, it's clearly our fault, clearly we made a mistake, clearly we made a bad decision. It's difficult to expect that person to forgive, because again, it goes against human nature a lot. And the Bible teaches us, of course, New Testament, Old Testament, Jesus, prime example, over and over again mentions the importance of forgiving. And it really goes back to, not only does it heal the relationship, but it also, of course, if you're the one who has been offended, you can let go of this, and it can stop giving you strife, and you can have peace in your life. So you're not the victim of it again, and it's over and done with. So we can't lean on our own understanding and willpower to do this. Going against, again, the impulse to hold something against somebody, remember some wrong that has been done to us. Again, it takes God's power and wisdom to be able to do this. Holding on to an old grudge, or again, some sort of offense, in the end, it ends up hurting the person who is holding on to that. And that's really the most important thing here. It might seem hard to do, but in the end, you're the one that really is benefiting from doing this. And we see the other side of this, of course. We know many, and unfortunately, a lot of us can probably look back in our past and remember times when we brought up past mistakes, or some sort of wrong somebody did to us, bringing it up over and over again, or even years after something happened, using it as guilt or leverage over somebody, because again, you might feel like you were wronged and, they owe it to you or something like that. But this teaches us that that's really the wrong approach, and especially the wrong approach if you want peace in your life, if you want strife, if you want that kind of thing. Of course, that's holding on to these things will guarantee that. But if you want peace in your life, let go and forgive. And love is also, again, the mark of wisdom, of course. And then wisdom comes from God, and of course, God is love. And so, it all interconnects. It all interconnects. And wisdom is really what gives us the ability to do this. Again, and I'm not saying it's easy. Again, a lot of these, especially these simple ones, they seem easy. They seem easy to do. But, they don't seem easy to do. They seem easy to grasp and memorize, of course, but when you actually try to do it, again, it's a lot harder than it seems. So again, it's good to just have these in memory, have a lot of these verses, just have them in memory, so when the time comes, you have that space between, the stimulus and the reaction, and you can consciously choose how you react. So again, let go, forgive, move on. Especially if nothing can be done right now. Of course, if somebody's attacking you or something like that in the moment, defend yourself. That's, of course, do that. But we're talking about something that happened in the past and something you can't do anything about right now. It's over and done with. The person, hopefully they've asked for forgiveness. And if you're on the other side of it, ask for forgiveness. But again, there comes a time to move on and to just have peace. And again, the way of wisdom is the way of peace. And just one more note, if you are the person who did the offending or committed the wrong or whatever it is, and you ask for forgiveness, and you, of course, ask for forgiveness from God, but also the person, your relationship, it's up to them if they decide to forgive you or not. But sometimes they, what if they don't forgive you? That's the other question. And then it comes time for you to move on. And, if they mention whatever this is again, what do you do? Do you engage with it? And really, that's the only choice we have. Do we engage with it or not? And we have the power to not engage with it and to not let it cause further strife in our own lives. And again, by not engaging with it, it might also help them let go. So there are a lot of benefits to following the path of wisdom, as we see in Proverbs, of course. And again, it covers all areas of our lives, especially relationships, especially just living a life of peace. Now, when we talk about things like financial benefits of following the path of wisdom, again, those are kind of general rules. If you live according to the lifestyle Proverbs advises, of course, you'll be in a good place to give your gift to the world and to have an income coming in and to have at least your basic needs met and, invest and build wealth and all that. But again, the main point of this is a life of peace and love and fullness in your relationships. So just remember that and stay tuned for more episodes.